Hello, welcome to Fieros Reborn on YouTube. Hello. Okay, I feel like my brain is in a very fast mode right now. It could be because of the Diet Coke. I mean, like, how much fucking caffeine does this stuff have? It doesn't actually say. Does it say? I swear this stuff does have caffeine, but it just doesn't tell you that it has caffeine in it. Yeah, including caffeine, natural flavorings. So it's a flavoring, is what the caffeine is. It's a flavoring. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, but this whole week has I've been a bit slow, generally speaking. Like my whole uh sort of mentality and emotions have been slow. I've been lounging around in bed all day. You may have noticed on my videos that I've had my pajamas on the whole time as well. And today is like the first day this week where I've had my clothes on for any length of time. I also cleaned up my room, which was nice. Had a bath. But been having baths every day this week, and sometimes showers as well. I've been trying to keep my energy system clean and hygienic because I can get into a bit of a funk otherwise. I have not been going out though this week. I've not gone out to do any work outside of the house, and I've not gone to go out partying or drinking or anything like that, or seeing friends even. Nothing. Just been staying at home. Uh, I actually started this whole staying in thing on Friday last week, and then when it came to Monday, I was like, I'm going to stay in because I don't have, well, I do have the money to be able to go out and buy a coffee and do some work outside somewhere in a nearby coffee shop or a cafe, but I decided to just stay in. And then Tuesday came and I got money in, and I thought, I want to stay in. I just want to stay in. It's cold outside or colder, and I just feel like staying in. And I also feel like staying in and not doing any work because there's one thing that I have yet to achieve, which is one full week of actually doing no work. For about 5 years, I've not really given myself a holiday. I went to Poland once, as in that was my only holiday. I went to Poland for 6 days, which didn't feel like a holiday anyway. I felt it was more stressful being there than it was being at home. Because I was staying in a hostel and there was just all this noise going on all the time. I didn't feel like I could rest, and yeah, it was fun, but it wasn't restful. And what I really wanted a holiday for was to rest. And I feel like it's quite hard to allow myself to rest. I find it quite difficult to give myself the actual time to rest. I feel like I'm not allowed on some level to actually not do anything. I feel like even if I'm going to be at home, I have to do work at home. I can't actually be on holiday for an actual length of time. Like when people go on holiday, they actually be on holiday and they don't take their work with them. Whereas whenever I'd go on holiday, I'd even take my sketchbooks and guitar or whatever, and I'd be working basically. I'd use holidays as an inspiration. I'd always be very kind of trying to work. Like the whole point for me used to be of going on holiday in order to have a clearer mind to work better. But now my shift is to have holiday from work, not to go away to do better work. you know. So anyway, so this week, because I can't actually afford to go away anywhere at the moment because I haven't saved any money, so it's just blur. I have not the money to go away just now. I could go away if I could be bothered to save, or if I try actually put my mind to saving some money aside each week, which maybe by staying in a little bit more, I can actually save money because I'm not blowing it all on drugs. And by drugs, I mean beer. I don't take drugs, but I do drink too much when I go out. So staying in is much better. Also, I'm tending to go to Staines at the moment, which costs £4.60 on the train. So every time I go out to do my work in Staines in some cafe or somewhere, it costs me £4.60 to get there, plus coffees and whatever. And I tend to buy random stuff, like I tend to buy a book every now and again from the Waterstones there. So it's like kind of wasting money basically overall. It wouldn't be a waste of money if my income was higher. It would be an expense that would be fine, but after a while it's just a little expensive to keep going to somewhere that I like to go but cost me money to go. So whatever. I just feel like it's weird that I've been inside in the house. I've only gone out for kind of a walk here and there around the block, and the first few days was kind of tough going. Actually, I was like, I had a big long bath for one. Oh yeah, no, I did. I went out for a run on a few occasions and did some gym work on the gym equipment down in the local park. I might do that again, but I'm feeling like one of the things that for me that going out does is it drains me. It doesn't really even matter what I do. I could just go out of the house, and if I'm out for a specific, like, sorry, for any length of time, like more than an hour, or even just going around the block, it's weird. I have to balance going out and staying in, because if I go out, it energizes me in one way. It energizes me on a social level. Like I feel like I'm in touch with humanity for one thing. Like I meet people and I talk to people and have fun and stuff. But then if I do that too much, then it drains me. So it's like a balance, because like if I don't go out, then when I'm staying in for too long, I get drained because I'm not seeing anyone else. So I feel like I start to get more lonely and depressed and stuff. So it's kind of like lonely and isolated and socially. I start to feel like I'm disconnected from humanity if I stay in for too long. So it's like a balance. And I wish that there wasn't this balancing act to strike. I wish that I could, for example, stay in for as long as I like at home, not get drained by it, and like also that I could stay out for longer in the world and not be drained by it either. But to be fair, I think staying out in the world, doing stuff, meeting people, I think that's acceptable that you're going to feel drained by that, because it's more activity and it's more energy intensive to like be hanging out and to be working and to be traveling and doing things and seeing people and saying things and doing all that kind of efforty stuff. But being inside, I sometimes get drained from just being inside for too long, or I get antsy. I get kind of like cabin fever type of thing, and I'd rather be able to rest. So this week is like it took some effort on Tuesday and even today a little bit to actually say, no, I'm staying in. I really need to stay in. I need to give myself this rest time, and I need to just do nothing. I need to not do work. What did I do? I think I did a little bit of drawing work. Was that earlier on, or that was last night? I don't think I've done any drawing work today. I did a little bit of typing work today, but it's very small amounts. I don't want to do anything much at all. And if at all, I'd rather do nothing at all. Is what I'm trying to say, and just be doing stuff like playing computer games, watching TV, having a wank, chatting to friends, but nothing that's like actually strenuous. But it's weird because having been in for, let's say from Friday, I went out and did some family stuff on Saturday, but then stayed in. So I don't count that as a work day. So let's say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 days of not doing any work. I'm starting to feel a little bit more rejuvenated, which is nice. Like I tidied up my room. As I say, I had a bath. I took my bins out. I got dressed properly. I played some computer games. I moved the TV from downstairs up into my room so I can play some computer games in my room. And yeah, it's nice. I'm starting to feel a little bit more like myself again. I mean, I wasn't like majorly myself before, but I was starting to notice that I was getting a bit kind of zoned out and weighed down by things. I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, part of the reason to stay in this week was like Tuesday came around, or Monday came around, and I was thinking, I don't actually have any projects. I've got one project to work on that I'm certain about. I've got some other projects that I can work on, but I'm not really that interested in them at the moment, or I don't have the right feeling about them yet. Like I'm not quite ready to start them. I've got one particular project which is a writing project. It's like I think it's going to be a book, but it's going to be in the form of a play to begin with, or spoken word, like dialogue type of thing. And I feel like I just have to start that one and see how it goes, and if necessary, scrap a first draft and do a second draft, or maybe third draft, whatever. But I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I feel like I'm moving towards it. But you see, it's not only the actual writing of the thing, because I feel like I could do the writing of it. It's also the whole thing surrounding it. It's like so for me, the project is not only the actual words I write and stuff on the page, but it's like, where am I going to do it? Am I going to do it at home? Most likely not, because I don't tend to like writing stuff at home, because it brings up too much energy. When I write stuff at home and I'm doing, because my writing tends to be like, it's very personal. It comes from a place deep inside me, and that means that it tends to shift emotions as well. And if I do too much of it, I feel like I get kind of claustrophobic if I'm at home. Basically, I feel like I release all this energy, and then it has nowhere to go, and then I start getting like I start getting kind of it's like panicky or something about the work. It's like I can't switch it off. That's a good way to put it. I can't switch it off. So I start it at home, and then I get absorbed into it. And I'll be like, I don't know how to stop this now. Like I've started the project, and I can't sort of switch it off, because there's no, like, if you go out, when I go out to do work, and I'll go to a cafe or to a coffee shop or somewhere outside, as in like in the world, to do the work. When I go somewhere, it like gives you a certain parameter, like you can only be there for kind of maximum 8 hours or something, right? Or however much time you can afford to buy drinks and stuff. And you know, you're going to get tired. So you have a certain like limit built in to the fact that you're out. You know, you got to get a train at the end of the day, so you don't want to get too knackered, because you got to get your train back. You don't want to overspend on coffees, because you know, then you're just kind of wasting money to do your work. So it's like, it gives you a reason to have a more boundaried work set of work time. Yeah, a more boundaried time to do the work. So I'll go out, and I'll be like, right, I'm going to go out. Now, I'm a bit kind of, I'm easily drained by my work. So there were days when I could do 8 hours of work in a coffee shop writing or drawing. Now it's more like maximum about 4 or 5 hours, because I get more easily drained these days, or I get bored, or I just like I over emotionalize, and I like go, oh god, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I can't handle it anymore. And then I have to go home. But my level of ability is increasing. It's increasing lately. Now that I'm nearly a year without being addicted to cigarettes. I've had a couple here and there throughout the year, but I've not been addicted to cigarettes for like nearly a year. So I've probably had about 10 cigarettes in a whole year, which is pretty damn good. And I'm starting to feel like my lungs are actually clearing. I've got this weird feeling that's in them at the moment, that's been coming for the last week or two, which is this feeling of the lungs actually clearing, because I noticed that the lungs weren't clear for ages, and they were giving me pain every day. I still get that pain a little bit every day, but it's no way what it was before. Before, like my whole shoulders, top of my chest, the middle of my chest, like sometimes my back and my neck would be like on fire, and my neck, my fucking jugular would be pumping like. That was when it was really bad. And then that, over a period of about 6 months, slowed down. I haven't had those kind of symptoms for about a month at all, pretty much, actually, which is awesome. But there is a new symptom, which is that this slightly strange feeling in my throat and lung area, which feels like the lungs are trying to actually clear out now, which is nice. Like, my breathing actually feels clearer. I'm more fit. I'm not like really fit, but I'm fit enough to, for example, actually run rather than walk. without getting out of breath. I used to get out of breath going up and down the stairs. Like I still get a little bit of breath carrying things up and down the stairs, but like I found it hard even to kind of pick up items from my room and clear my room of items like crockery and glasses and stuff and take them downstairs to put them in a dishwasher. I found it difficult, like emotionally and physically strenuous, to unload the dishwasher even previously. And now I'm like, no, I can do this. I can do it quickly and easily. So it's like, yes, things are coming up. Millhouse. It's all coming up Fieros. Yeah, and Millhouse. Fieros house. Phil house. Okay, good. So that's about how I am at the moment. Again, probably too much caffeine is why I'm speaking so fast. Also, in other news, I'm starting to feel a little bit more like I can actually take on the real world again. Rather than just living in a spiritual reverie of like this meditation kind of presence thing and being all about the inner world and dealing with my thoughts and emotions and my body and stuff and like, you know, cultivating the mindful awareness and all this stuff and feeling into my true self and all that kind of thing. I feel like I can maybe, just maybe, I'm not 100% certain yet, but I feel like I can bring that into the real world, as in like the world of work. Because I do my work, but I don't offer my work to anyone, as in like I don't say buy it please or have a look and it with a view to potentially buy it, or like listen to my music and potentially book me for a gig or buy my album or anything like that. I've been very kind of like scared because I haven't wanted to lose my center. Mainly is what it is. I like felt like my centeredness was very easily taken away, and then I'd go off into a spiral of being drained very easily. So I'm feeling like I may well be able to kind of start moving out into the world and forging a path like this, sort of like clearing away, so that I can not only be myself and be happy in myself, but also start to make an actual life again. Because for a long period of time, my life has been at a kind of, it's been in a weird sort of hermit stage, really. I've been like tending to my inner needs, tending to my inner self, doing personal rejuvenation work, if you like, clearing my emotions, clearing my mind, clearing my body eventually of cigarettes, which was the hardest one I did, and just kind of giving a lot of me time, a lot of resting time, and everything has been focused very kind of inward in terms of like building myself back up after a breakup, after all the mental health stuff that I went through, after all the troubles with my family that I went through, you know, after coming off the cigarettes that I put myself through. Yeah, and even further back after all the different jobs that I failed at basically, and I quit, and all that kind of failure mentality is like, oh, and all the busking and all the fights I was in. And all the other relationships that didn't go well, and you know, it was just kind of a big old mess, my previous life to this. And so the past couple of years I've been very much focused on just building myself back up and not giving myself too much to do in the real world, like not giving myself any commitments, you know, not planning anything, and cutting back on loads of stuff, really cutting back on all kinds of things that I used to do. Stopped doing gigs. What else did I stop doing? Just managed my social contact more so that I wasn't overstretching myself with overdoing family occasions. So I cut myself out of family occasions that weren't 100% sort of family obligations. Like, so you get your family obligations, which will be like certain birthdays and so on. And if it's just kind of a visit or whatever, or just like something that's kind of got a feeling of optional, then I just say, I can't do it because I need to rest myself. And then just like started going out less as well. So started partying less just to give myself rejuvenation time. Yeah. But I'm starting to kind of feel like I'm powering up finally. Starting to actually fill up and power up and be like, okay, I feel stronger in lots of different ways. And now the next step is to be able to bring this sense of bigness or expansion and powerful self to a wider audience, but more like just to build my life again, because I did actually used to have a life. I used to have a fairly normal life. I mean, after I came out of hospital, I had a fairly normal life. I had my own business as a guitar tutor. So I had, like, I say my own business. I mean, it was just a self-employment sole trader type of thing, but it counted as a business in the eyes of the law. It's a self-employment business, where I had like a load of private clients, and then I had one. I was working for this charity in Slough called Swipe Music, where I would do 4 hours of guitar tuition a week for monies as well. So it was all good. And I was like doing all my taxes properly, and like, yeah, and I had a girlfriend, yeah, and and I had my car, and I was paying for, was I paying for my insurance or not? I don't know. If I'm unsure, then it probably was still my mum or dad. I don't know. But I was certainly paying for my own repairs and stuff, my own petrol. So I did actually have a normal, fairly functional life. And then what happened is I started to feel like the life that I was living didn't have integrity, in that I wasn't actually doing what I wanted to do. And the fact that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do with my life was making me depressed. So I realized that I didn't actually want to be teaching guitar, and I wasn't actually enjoying teaching guitar. And every time I would go to a lesson, these thoughts in my head would be going, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. I hate doing this. And for a while, I just kind of pushed them aside and ignored them. And I was like, this is just, I'm kind of depressed anyway, whatever. And then maybe I read something online, or I just remembered something about, actually, maybe I should listen to this. Maybe I should listen to myself, that these thoughts, maybe they're happening for a reason. Like, maybe my thoughts are trying to tell me this is not right for me. And maybe I should actually pay attention to them, and to change my life, and to change what I'm doing, and to stop doing these things that are making me depressed. Like, it's no coincidence that I'm doing this job, and every time I do the job, I feel depressed. It's something about the type of work, or whatever. Or I didn't like the fact that I was teaching people to do something that I felt I'd failed at. I didn't like the fact that these children or adults were asking me to teach them, and they seemed to have this sort of desire to be a successful rock musician or something, or a rock star. And I felt like I was in a position where, well, I wasn't that, and I hadn't achieved what I wanted to achieve myself with my music. And so I felt like I was in those that can't teach type of position. And I was like, this makes me feel worse about myself actually being a teacher of music, because all the time I was spending preparing lessons and teaching people to play the guitar, I'm thinking, this is time that I could be spending actually writing my own music and promoting it, or doing gigs, or whatever. Basically, my creative energy, or my life energy, was being focused in a way that was making me unhappy. So I decided, and from the outside, my parents really weren't happy with that. They were like, "Oh, you shouldn't just cut it off when you don't have a fallback," kind of thing. And I was just like, I just got to trust myself in this decision, that it's going to be the right thing to do, because I knew that I couldn't carry on in the old way of doing all these guitar lessons, and winding up feeling unhappy all the time, and feeling like I was wasting my life, really, doing something that I wasn't fully passionate about, and pretending that I was passionate about it as well. Like, I was putting on this kind of act, in a way, that I was trying to motivate these kids to do things that I didn't feel like I was doing myself. Like, I was asking children to practice and adults to practice, And I was like, I don't really practice myself, so who am I to be saying this? Like, so again, it was just a situation that I felt lacked integrity. Around that time as well, I was doing some motivational speaking for teenagers, and I did some for like small business owners as well, which was all about actually motivating yourself to do the things that you want to do. And I had created this book called Get Motivated Now. Originally, it was called Beat Procrastination Now, but I decided to frame it in the positive instead of the negative. Beat procrastination, get motivated. Get motivated is the forward-moving way. Beat procrastination is the setback removing way. And I wanted to frame it in the positive. So I created this book, and I did a few little kind of motivational seminars using the techniques that basically all I did was I read a load of books about motivation and took all the techniques that I thought were the best ones, shoved them in one place, give it my own little spin, and like pretended like I knew something when I didn't really. I just regurgitated a load of stuff I'd read, and tried to sound like I had authority on it, and I really didn't. And that came across to myself when I was doing the motivational talks, because I was giving these talks and then I'd go home afterwards and I'd be like, half of these techniques don't actually work for me, so how am I having integrity to deliver that to other people? Like, what am I doing? A big problem for me was I kept overselling myself. Basically, I was always presenting something to other people in a teaching capacity that I felt like I wasn't even doing myself. So at a certain point, there would be a click, and I'd go, "Well, this has no integrity, or this has no authenticity, because I'm teaching people to do things that I don't do myself, or I'm teaching people to do things that I say work, but I actually feel like they don't work." So, regardless of whether they did work for the other person or not, it was the fact that I didn't really believe in what I was doing, that I needed to stop doing it. Yeah, so I fucked that off as well, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So I was really kind of trying to find my way, like, what is the right thing? And then at a certain point, I realized I already know, and I have always known what it is I wanted to do, and it's the 5 or 6 things that I have always done in the background as being my passions, which is art, music, writing, comedy, videos even, spiritual teaching or spiritual healing or meditation type of stuff. This is the kind of stuff I have always done, as being something that naturally emerges from me, something that I just do because that's who I am, or it comes from who I am. Yeah. Right. And then I went through this phase of like trying to make those things work in the world when I don't think I was at a personal development level where I was able to actually make them work in the world. So emotionally, I wasn't mature enough and resilient enough to actually take those offerings that I had, so artwork, music, any written work that I did, videos even. I wasn't at a point where I was able to share my work with the world without feeling personally rejected if people didn't like it, and not being able to really process how other people might respond. Like, I'd done this stuff previously as well, and it was weird because I hit a new phase where I wasn't in a band anymore and I didn't have a job anymore. And I felt like, and my family had also split apart at that time as well. So my brother was living elsewhere, my dad was living elsewhere, I was living with my mum. Things were a bit hairy with my mum as well. Like, arguments were going down often. I'd made new friends that I thought were friends, but turned out to be kind of frenemies, enemies. Like, I felt like we were on the same page, and they all turned out to be dicks. So that wasn't working. And then, like, I had all these relationships. Like, I was going through this sex phase, this sex craze phase, and that was like something that was draining me as well. Even though it's what I wanted to do at that time with my sex life, I wanted to not experiment. I wanted to experience more and more. different types of relationships, which I did, but after a while that got draining. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is like my emotional core was wounded by that point in my life. Coming off the medication really opened up my emotions and opened up to the level of pain that I had been numb to. Because the antidepressant medications were suppressing my emotional response and keeping me in a kind of numb emotional state. And so I was wounded. Like my self-esteem was low, but I was trying to make a go of these projects and these talents and stuff. But because my self-esteem was low, every time I would try and promote or offer something to someone or ask to be paid for something or like ask for someone's opinion or whatever, it would be like constantly negative reinforcement. Like I would never get the response that I wanted. Anything that anyone said was never positive enough for me because I was already feeling bad about myself, but yet I felt both needy for praise and recognition and acknowledgement and financial reward, and yet at the same time I felt kind of like I was both overvaluing and undervaluing my work at the same time. I was overvaluing it, like to say how amazing it is to people, but then I was also undervaluing it in that there was a part of me that was saying no one actually wants this and no one likes it. So I was in this kind of conflicty thing. So I think that that's why that period of life didn't work, because my sense of self-esteem was not high enough, or my sense of self-worth, but it's like self-fullness is a good way to put it. Like my energy level inside, my sort of reservoir of emotional health was not high enough to weather the storms of any little criticisms or rejections that would come in. So every time I'd get a rejection, it would go like, and then I'd have to recover from it. And I was never really recovering fully from each little knockback or rejection. So over time, that just meant that I just got knocked back and back and back and back and back, and I was like, fuck it all. Like I can't do this anymore because I've knocked myself down by trying to keep. It was like every time I'd offer, I'd sort of try and show people stuff or tell people about my work or whatever. And it was like, because I was doing it from this kind of needy place of love me, fill me up, give me approval, acknowledge me, give me payment, recognize me, say I'm good type of thing. Say I'm a good boy, basically. Yeah, say I'm a good boy. Tell me I'm good, tell me I'm good, tell me I'm good. I'm needy. I need your praise. I need your love. I need your attention. I need your listening. I need your money. I need your acknowledgement. I need you to just tell me I'm good, tell me I'm good, tell me I'm good. Give me positivity. Because I was in that needy place, it's a really vulnerable place, because you're just like saying, tell me I'm good, love me in a way that actually is inviting criticism. Because you're just being whiny and needy, basically, and you're kind of I was being guarded, actually. It was like, you must say this is good. I need you to say this is good. So it wasn't even giving people the opportunity to tell me their real opinion. It was like, you must like this or else I'm going to be pissed at you, basically. And that's not a healthy way to show your work to someone. Like, it's good, isn't it? It is good. Tell me it's good. If you don't tell me it's good, I don't like you anymore. It's just a very kind of narcissistic, egotistical kind of reverse ego thing, that on the one hand it says, I think I'm amazing, please you tell me I'm amazing or I want to kill you, kind of thing. So it's like a dual ego that both says I'm great and I'm worthless at the same time. So this grandiosity that thinks I should be like worthy of all this praise, but secretly I think I'm worthy of all this rejection at the same time. It was very strange how I could both think I was amazing and yet think I was nothing at the same time. It's bizarre. It was a kind of like genius failure. like undiscovered hero, something like that, like talented loser, starving genius artist. That is like this kind of, and also another aspect to it as well was the more brilliant I thought I was, the less justified I thought I was in being successful, because part of me was saying, look, the greater you are, the less you can expect to succeed, because no one is recognized in their own time. That kind of nonsense. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a more that's like from 2014 to now, and we're still kind of not going through the ward experience in the Fieros Storytime journey. So let us talk about Ward 10 again. Maybe not. Let's start at the beginning again and see if we can get there. Went out with a girl called Mrs. A, met her at secondary school, Langley Grammar School. Relationship fell apart because she cheated on me. Good, I've covered that. She cheated on me. No more needs to be said about that cheaty person. She cheated on me. Good. Not good, but good that we've covered that. Then I got a new job because my season at Legoland finished. I was actually working with Mrs. A at Legoland. We worked for a bit together, and then they found out we were girlfriend and boyfriend, and we got split apart because you weren't allowed to work in the same shop together if you were girlfriend and boyfriend because of rules, company rules. Right, so we got split apart, but actually on occasion we were split into two shops that were kind of just next to each other with this open kind of, it's just an open door that it got closed at night. So it's an open double door between the two shops, so we could still talk, but I don't think she really liked me coming in to bug her because I should have been at my workstation. Whatever. But yeah, so so that was kind of cool to be working with my girlfriend and driving to work with my girlfriend and stuff, and that was cool. But there was this other dick who was around, and I don't know what his deal was, whether he fancied her and he was trying to like put me down or something, or he was just depressed generally. It was just a bit of an asshole, but he would always like put me down somehow, or like try and shoot me down. And I think he was trying to muscle in with Mrs. A, and I don't think she had like any attraction to him because he was kind of gross looking. He had spots all over his face, and he was just a bit of a, it's just a bit of an asshole, a bit of a creep kind of thing. But he did unsettle me a bit, and I was like, "Whoa." Anyway, yeah. So, but that season finished, and so, oh yeah, and she cheated on me, but I've covered that a million times already. And then I went to this new job, got the job straight away, pretty much. Just did this little, filled out this test thing. This was the Outback Steakhouse in Staines, because my bassist was working there, and he said, okay, come and get the job there because I can help you get the job. It'll be easy, you know, you'll be fine. So I filled out this little questionnaire form thing. They sent it off to their head office, and I passed. And then they got me in for an induction the next day, which was awesome. Did my training, loved the training, thought it was great. I thought it was going to be a good company to work for. Like, as I said before, in the previous video, that I liked, man, that's a fruity fart. I liked the, I liked the ethics, or I liked the fact that they had a thing of ethics, which subsequently later on I decided I didn't like the ethics. So I thought it was all bullshit, lies, or just still didn't fit in with my paradigm of goodness. Okay, while I was working there, this guy who we are referring to as Mr. B, who is about a year and a half younger than me, started finding me attractive. I was in a phase of life where I wanted to try and figure out my sexuality. For real, for good kind of thing, because at school I hadn't known what my sexuality was, and I was being teased for being gay all the fucking time, and I wanted to kind of check if that was accurate or not, because I didn't know whether it was accurate or not. And you know, as I mentioned before, I'd had these memories coming up about previous experiences in my childhood where I had experiences with other boys when I was younger. sexual experiences, just kind of like playing, but wouldn't have called it sexual at the time because you wouldn't really know what we were doing. We were just like touching things. I'm not even sure we would have had a name for it. What we were doing, yeah, it was like this kind of set of experiences that was sort of pre-conscious in a way. It was just some way that we were experimenting with learning about how our bodies worked, I think, really. Yeah. And it was mainly because I was around a lot of boys and there weren't any girls of my age who I was hanging out with, because I was hanging out with like people next door, and everyone was guys. And the people who there was this one guy who lived around the corner who um, was looked after by the same childminder nanny person, and so he and I were experimenting. But I'm pretty sure that if there was girls there instead, it would have been the other way around. I would have been doing it with girls. And I did do some experimentation with girls at that same time, which conveniently I forgot about when I was like thinking about my sexuality. And then subsequently as well, I was like, why am I even basing my understanding of my current sexuality on these like few random childhood sexual experiences, as though that means something about me now? Um, and so I decided that the meaning I'd given to those early experiences was not valid in the way that I thought it was valid. I thought that it would mean something about now, but then no, it doesn't mean something about now. Now means something about now. How do I feel now is what I should be guiding my sexual orientation about. But I hadn't kind of figured out how to process my sexual feelings, and I hadn't worked it out, because also there was a lot of sexual repression and homophobia, and also just repression and shame and awkwardness around talking about sex and sexuality in general at school. Like everything was sex and sexuality just meant far too much. It was like a status symbol. If you'd had sex, that was a status symbol. If you had sex, you'd lost your virginity, you had this kind of higher status in the group, at least in that area, right? It was something that you needed to achieve to have sex. And it was something that I felt was lacking, and I was like, when am I going to fucking lose my virginity? Because at least two of my friends, what's going on with my hair? At least two of my friends had lost their virginity, three even, and I was like, God, I'm lagging behind. But I did manage to lose it with Mrs. A, which was like wicked. So I got to the Outback Steakhouse, and there was more of a open vibe regarding sex and sexuality. Sex and sexuality is like Pride and Prejudice, isn't it? No, it'd be Pride and Prejudiced. Pride do just anyway. Sex and Sexuality by Fieros Reborn on the channel. Fieros Reborn. Sex and sexuality. So there was a more open feel in this restaurant, yeah. Like I don't mean like everyone was shagging on the floor. Although some stuff, no. Some things did happen. No, they didn't happen at all. Yeah, so it was an open feel, right? So there were three openly gay guys working there, and I was like, what? There was only one openly gay guy, maybe two openly gay guys in the whole of the school previously. My previous like social scenario, right? And it was just not ever open that like there were gay people and it was okay to be gay. So I got to this new work environment, and there were these gay guys, and I was a little bit scared of it to begin with, because I was like, oh God, this is threatening to my sense of sexuality. I'm already a little confused about it anyway. Like now I'm going to have to try and maintain the straight front, or the straight persona, if you like, and whatever, to all these gay guys who fancy me, or who are at least flirting with me, two of them. And so yeah, I got curious, and I got willing to experiment because I felt safe to. And yeah, so I had a couple of friends. One of them was from secondary school, My bassist had left the restaurant by this time. He threw in the towel, literally the little hand towely thing. He was like, "No." He got kitchen got too hot. What's that thing? If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Well, he couldn't handle the heat, so he got out of the kitchen, right? He was. There was this other guy in there actually as well, and he used to whip people with the little whippy towel thing. I hated that guy. That's just on a side point. He was weird. There was a lot of gayness going on in that place, even between the apparently straight blokes. The fucking kitchen manager, what a dick. Big fat guy, right? Yorkshire guy, baldy, short-haired head, glasses. Big fat guy. He used to walk around like this, and he used to sort of click his neck like this in a way that seemed oddly threatening, even though to him it was just him clicking his neck. But it was like, you know, like someone might click their neck before they go up and beat someone in the face with their giant fists made of lead. It was like that. Right? But he never actually punched anyone. But he did this. He was a dick. I hate that guy. He used to pick me up on his big fat belly and give me a sort of bear hug thing, right? And then I swear he'd kiss me on the forehead or on the cheek or something while he's doing that. And this is in the kitchen, right? When I'm trying to do my fucking job as a waiter. And there's my kitchen manager. Yeah, kitchen manager. He's not even front of house manager, right? So he shouldn't even really be interacting with me that much or in that way. And he's picking me up and kissing me in that. It's just very strange. And also I got bullied by this grill chef. I believe he was a Polish grill chef. And he used to pick me up and put me in the fridge. This sounds really, really silly. But he hated me because he used to say, "Stop singing." Because apparently I sang. I must have I was a very happy person back in those days. I was a very happy-go-lucky, like, kind of person, right? I was just, I loved that job in a way. I loved it because it was very fast. I was very busy and felt like I was in a good flow of stuff. Like once I'd learned how to do everything on the till, you get your little key out. Sorry, I don't know how much you can see. You get your little sort of till key out, and you put it on the thing, you go, you got like all these fucking tampons, no, tablets, fucking, what are these things? Paper things, like a listy thing. You write down your receipt type of thing. It's like a bill. I forget what they're called. Ticket. You called it a ticket, I think. Ticket, yes. Where you write the order, and you had like this certain specific code that you had to use. It wasn't just write down a little sort of note of what it is. You have like specific way to write the thing on the ticket, where you have like different columns that you have to create. And mentally, you don't actually have them on the sheet, but you like have to sort of put it in order, like the name of the thing, and then whether they have extras, and whether it was in a triangle or in a circle meant different things. You had like a different code for the different type of sauces and stuff, and whether there was a side salad, blah blah blah, and drinks and stuff like this. So you had this whole kind of code system, and the word 86, sorry, the term 86 meant without such and such, I believe. So it'd be like salad 86 lettuce, and you'd be like, well, what the hell kind of salad is that if it doesn't have lettuce? What is it, just a bunch of tomatoes on a plate? With tomatoes with drizzle. Anyway, yeah, so I was I enjoyed the whole thing, and I enjoyed talking to the customers, and I enjoyed the tips, for sure, right? And then, I know I mentioned in the previous video that at a certain point in my career in that job, I realised that I was just being a manipulative salesperson jerk with no integrity. Again, whereby I was just saying things in order to get the money, not saying the things because they were true and I believed in them and there was a valid, accurate expression of my feeling about it. So I was being asked my opinion about certain stuff, and I would just say the thing that would get the more money at the end of the bill, or that might make them like me and stuff. So yeah, I did a bit of bar work on that in that job as well, which I actually did not like working on the bar I got anxious, and it was the first time I'd ever had the feeling of anxiety, and it was a strange feeling. It was strange to me because I'd never felt it before. It just felt like this feeling that was starting to grow in my chest, like I had to escape, like I had to. I couldn't be there, and the longer I was there, the more like painy it felt, and I'd never had it before. And so I don't even know why that was there. I think I've tried to analyze it afterwards, and I feel like it might be because of the feeling of being trapped behind a bar, like that there was a sense of claustrophobia to it with having people so close to me, um, and feeling like I had to be in this contained area, and it suddenly brought up this feeling of anxiety that I'd never experienced before. And it was a different, like it was a different kind of feeling to, for example, a bit of nerves before going on stage to do a play or to do a gig or something, which I was familiar with that. I wasn't familiar with this feeling that was in there, and it just felt like, I don't know why this is keep coming, but I feel like I can't do this bar type of work anymore. And I said it to my manager a few times. He didn't really register. I was saying to him like, I'm feeling anxious. I'm getting this feeling in my chest, this anxious feeling, this anxiety feeling, and I don't feel like I can do the bar anymore. Or I don't want to do the bar anymore. Can you put me on some serving shifts again, please? Because like I can't handle it on the bar for whatever reason. And he did eventually listen a bit. Yeah. So that's another aspect. So oh yeah. So this guy was pursuing me, and I was kind of letting him pursue me because, again, like part of it was I was curious. I was also desperate to be with someone. There were these two women, two women who were working in the place who I tried flirting with. One of them, one of them took me down to the changing room area. I don't know exactly why, but just to basically watch her get changed, which was really nice. She goes, "Come down to the changing area with me," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure." Went down there, and then she just like strips off her top to her bra, and this was like, this is amazing. And I was like, "Okay, cool, but do you want me to do anything? What is this?" And then she just kind of got changed, and I was like, "Okay." And then I got changed. I think she wanted to tell me about something or whatever, and we were supposed to be carrying on some conversation, and then she just stripped her top off and put a new one on. I was like, this is amazing. And she made the kind of motions like she did fancy me, but then I blew it. Like she already had a boyfriend, and then like it went a bit rocky with her boyfriend, and she started flirting with me a bit more, and then she ended up getting back with her boyfriend, and then I got turned into the bad person because I'd been flirting with her, and so it was just all a bit messy. So yeah, nothing happened there, which is a shame. But then again, she did have a giant mole on her face, and I'm not so keen on moles. I mean, some people like them. I can't deal with moles. I even had one removed off my own face when I was a kid, because I could not shave it. I couldn't shave over it, otherwise it would bleed. Whereas really, I was just really self-conscious about it. And the guy next door, he had a giant mole, and he had it removed, so therefore I was allowed to have mine removed. So I had this little mole on my chin, which is kind of there. Had that removed by plastic surgeon, cosmetic surgeon, whatever. Yeah, it just went. I just walked in, he went, and I went, "Whoa, yeah!" And then there's a plaster, and I was like, "Yeah, cool." No, it wasn't like that. He put me under some kind of local anaesthetic, and I lay down on the table, and he went. It's kind of gross now that I talk about it. Anyway, so I got that removed. So mole girl in the Outback restaurant, I was like, you're pretty, but your face is sort of misshapen in a way as well. Big boobs though, big boobs, and a nice, lovely personality, which is, as we know, what everyone says is important, whether they actually feel that way or not. But oh my god, I'm such a chauvinist, misogynistic pig. Fine, fine. If that's the truth, then bring it, bring it, bring it. Yeah. So she used to touch my elbow, and that was a nice feeling. She touched my arm when she was talking to me. She was like, "Can you go and get such and such?" And I was like, "Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can indeed. Just hold that there. Yep. What? Yep. So I did that. What did I do? No, I don't know. Blah. And then this other girl, um, I may as well call her Mrs. T. Mrs. TT. That sounds bad. Oh. Mrs. T. Mrs. T. This like makes her sound like the wife of Mr. T or daughter of Mr. T. Oh God. Or mother of Mr. T. Okay. Well, she wasn't having any of it. Mrs. I don't want to say her name. Titty. I can't. Oh God. Mrs. T. All right. Let's call her that. She wasn't having any of it. She was a bit older than me, and she wasn't kind of interested. But I tried to flirt with her. I mean, she was pretty. Again, mole. Different place though with the mole. Just moles are something I can't deal with. What is it with me? I'm so shallow. I'm so fucking shallow. Yeah. Moles. Facial moles. Bodily moles are okay, right? But facial moles, I cannot deal with them. I have an issue. I'm so fucking shallow. Like that's a game changer right there. What do you call that? Red flag. That sounds so bad. That's an immediate strikeout if you've got a facial mole. And I do apologise if you have a facial mole. It's my own warped preference and shallow preference that is due to a deep insecurity about my own facial mole, which I got removed. True story. So, yeah, she wasn't having any of it. I kind of presented it like, oh, I had to try out the gay thing because it was forced upon me by the world. And that's how it felt like. I was desperate, man. And curious as well. And there was just pressure, so much pressure. Like I had all these two gay people flirting with me. One of them was really interested in me. The one who was pursuing me, we called him Mr.B. Right. So he was pursuing me. Didn't have any other options. And again, genuinely was thinking about trying it out just to see what it was like and whether I was gay or not and figure it out from school, even though I reckon that was some subtle little game from my friend, because he kind of was chivvying me along, like saying, well, you know, you were always a bit insecure about your sexuality at school. Why don't you check out this gay thing, you know? And I think maybe that way it was a little game. He was just trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do. He liked to make fun of me, basically, and he liked to play up my sexual insecurities. So it may well have even been partly a little bit of fun for him to see what Ross can do. Like he tried to make me eat glue at school, for one thing, and I was always being dared to do certain things, basically for his and my other friends' amusement. Call them friends. They're basically bullies who I spent time with. Well, that's a bit strong. Okay, so it was like a buddy relationship where the taunting sometimes got a little, or the, what do you call it? What's that thing? Banter. Sometimes where the banter overstepped the mark. Oftentimes too far to me, but like not to those two. So sometimes the banter I felt was just bordering on being mean and abusive and belittling. But most of the time it's all right. I do remember saying quite often, on occasion, occasionally, oftenly, I would say, I'm just a victim of your abuse. In a kind of joke way, but I really felt that way sometimes. I was like, you people are just taking the piss to the point where I'm not having fun with the joke. Like, I can laugh at myself, I can have fun with being silly, But to the point where I was like, all right, now you're taking the piss at my expense without me even enjoying it. And if I'm not enjoying laughing at myself and doing stuff silly, then that's not cool. That's just kind of degrading. But then another aspect of it was grow a fucking pair. Like it was only a bit of fun, and if I'd had more of a sense of self-esteem, I just would have taken it in my stride, and it would have been actually quite fun. But I was a bit, I was a bit, I was too insecure to be able to have fun with banter sometimes. So occasionally I probably felt worse than I should have done, if that makes sense. Like I could have dealt with the situation better had I had stronger self-esteem, but I didn't. So I didn't. Meh. So yeah, so I ended up going out with Mr. B, and so we had this little party thing. We wanked each other off. Kind of enjoyed it, I guess. Why does that make me feel sick when I say that? I don't know whether I enjoyed it or not. I did enjoy it. No, I didn't enjoy it. Something is telling me I felt gross about it, actually. Or something makes me feel gross to say that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed wanking off a bloke. I don't even know if I did enjoy it. I mean, I think it's just kind of it's a sexual experience. Big, in a way, big deal. Like, what is the big deal about whether or not I enjoyed it? Again, this is this whole thing. Like, if I enjoyed it, that means it was true and I was gay, and therefore, maybe I'm gay now. That whole thing. And so there's a part of me that even resists the possibility that I enjoyed it. Well, I obviously enjoyed it enough to carry on being in a relationship with him, because I did be in a relationship with him for like 2 years. So there's a part of me that like is resistant to that relationship having happened in the way that it did, and wants to deny the fact that I did have positive feelings towards him. Otherwise I wouldn't have been in the relationship. I wouldn't have got in the relationship at all. And then so there's this part of me that kind of wants to sweep that whole relationship under the carpet in a way, and just say it was a horrible relationship and say it was nothing to do with me, and play a bit of a victim role in saying, oh, he sucked me in. He sucked me off for sure. But he sucked me into the relationship, and I kind of want to, the way I present it is very confused. Like, the way I present my experience of that relationship goes between like, I want to tell you that it was horrible. I don't want to tell you that I enjoyed any of it. I want to tell you that he was mean. I don't want to tell you that I was self-absorbed and arrogant and completely obsessed with my own genius at that time. I want to tell you that he was really needy and he was the bad guy. I don't want to tell you that I was also needy and a bit of a jerk. So basically, I'm trying to avoid taking my responsibility for my part in the relationship, because it helps me to sort of feel okay with the fact that I left it, for one thing, but it also helps me to deal with the pain of it. Like, there is a sense of that relationship where I felt terrorized, and that is probably the part of me that is least acknowledged, because I didn't acknowledge it during the relationship, and I haven't fully acknowledged it since either. Like, this whole Mr. B relationship feels like a big pile of wank in my chest that has never been fully vacated. So I did some work writing down my feelings about it, but like, I've darted around this relationship that is, it's a pretty meaty relationship in terms of processing. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I can quite easily talk about Mrs. A, and I can quite easily talk about relationships that happened after Mr. B, but this part in there is just a pile of wank. It's like just a pile of nasty experiences, but there's obviously something good in there as well, which is the through line that kept me in there. Like, I must have been enjoying something of it. And I did. I remember feeling there was a sense of intimacy that I enjoyed with him. And there was a sense of teamwork and partnership because he used to help me with my music as well. Like, he did some recording engineering. Like, he sat at the mixing desk and did some mixing and like engineered some of my home tracks. And so we worked together on stuff. Like, he was my little buddy dude, you know, he was my kind of, he was a partner. And I feel a bit bad in a way that I've just completely tarnished that whole relationship without taking any of the good aspects. Like, I'm very quick to tell you how bad it was and tell you how much I didn't like it and how I'm glad that I got out of it, because that's the main overriding feature that I took away from it, was that I never want to be with someone like him again, or even a man again, even though I did subsequently try being with a man again later on. I just was like, I don't like this at all. Yeah. So maybe, right, maybe before we go to Ward 10 again, we may have to stay in this Mr. B territory and really pick through this relationship. And then we could probably jump from there quickly through the stuff that happened afterwards. Get me back to the ward in the story, I mean. Don't get me back to the ward now. Although I would like to visit it and just check it out. I don't think it's there anymore, though. Anyway, I think we need to look at the Mr. B stuff. This is all about that relationship, and to try and kind of like pick through that and open that out. Take everything from it, not just the fact that it was bad. But part of me needs to go into why it was bad more specifically as well. Because I've just said, oh, he was manipulative, oh, he was abusive, oh, he was threatening. And I need to really talk about some of those instances, or even all of those instances, in more detail, so that I can feel like that is finished and we can move on, completely move on. So maybe that gives us a little viewpoint as to where we're going to go next, which is going to go into Mr. B. It's going to get graphic as well, probably sexually graphic. God damn. Right? It's going to get sexually graphic because there was sexually graphic stuff, and it's going to be a homosexual relationship, so it's going to be homosexually graphic. And maybe by looking at this relationship in my past, I can confront this subtle homophobia that I have at the moment. There's still a sense of homophobia in me, which I think stems from how that relationship went down. Yeah, all right. And then after that, we can look at fast forwarding back to get to the ward and go through the ward and push the story forward. Okay, well, long video. Thanks for coming with me on this little journey. And I will speak to you, tell you some more stories next time on Fieros Reborn, Fieros' Story Time. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.